Hi guys, this is a little different recording background for today. I don't know why. But anyways, I'm gonna be doing the 1930s decade review. Now, this is the first full decade where talkies are a thing. Things that shaped this decade are like the Great Depression. World War II, I mean, sort of, but it doesn't really peak yet. What else? I'm trying to think happened. I guess the Hooverville era and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna do this in order like I did with 1910s to 1920s. Anyways, yeah. So, 1930, the Three Stooges come out with their first film on screen, which is Soup to Nuts, starring Mo Howard, well, then known as Moses Hortwitz, something like that. And also Shemp and Larry. I watched that movie. It was okay. It was not as good as their later works, but yeah. What else happened in 1930? I'm trying to think. I don't know actually. I guess you can say it's like the first full year where the Great Depression's a thing, really. Although some people say it started in 1929 with the stock market crash. I'd say it started in 1930, personally. Yeah. 1931 was a good year for movies. Frankenstein releases. I'm trying to think what else happens in 1931. Dracula releases. Stuff like that. What else? Besides Dracula and... Oh yeah, the Scottsboro trial unfortunately happens. I think it was mentioned in To Kill a Mockingbird, where teenager black kids were charged in raping a girl. Or woman, I don't know. Something like that. So yeah, that happens unfortunately. So yeah, still not a good time for, I guess like people in certain groups, unfortunately. So yeah, it's still kind of segregated, unfortunately. What else happened? 1931. Ah, fuck. Oh yeah. Not really much after that, really. 1932. Let's see. Laurel and Hardy released The Music Box, which is pretty good. I like that film. Or was it? Yeah, like a short. It was a pretty good short. Fun fact, the steps are still there today, which is pretty cool to check out if you live in California. Or if you want to go to California. But yeah. You know what else happened in 1932? The 1932 election, where FDR won, which is pretty cool. Yeah, FDR becomes president. Well, technically doesn't become president until the next year, but he wins the 1932 election, yeah. So that happens. 1933, FDR becomes president. This is where we get to the events that, we all know, I guess, in a way. Hitler becomes Chancellor of Germany in 1933. That happens. FDR, I mean, honestly, some people might hate him because he did a weird form of incest. Yeah, I'll admit, that was weird when I looked it up. But he did do some good shit, I'll admit. Like, in 1933, he'd established the CCC. Yeah, so yeah, I don't have any biases here. But yeah. he established the CCC, which was pretty good. It put young men ages 18 to 25 to work, which was pretty good. So yeah, job rates were starting to get better under FDR. Yeah. What else? 1934, Three Stooges finally form. They get out of Ted Healy. Oh wait, no. I forgot. 1933, the Music Box releases with Joan Crawford and Clark Gable. Also has the Three Stooges in it. Yeah. What else released in 1933? I think The Mummy, or was it 1932? I don't fucking know. Yeah, those are decent movies. They're not that good. Let's see. Yeah, 1934. What the fuck? Oh yeah, Three Stooges finally form. They get out of Ted Healy's hands. Shemp Howard left in, I think, 1931, 1932. I don't fucking know. Oh yeah, fuck. Forgot. 1933. Fuck. Prohibition gets repealed. So, no more prohibition. So, you can now drink alcohol again, which is pretty cool. But yeah, 1934, Three Stooges, I said. They get out of Ted Healy's hands. Shemp Howard is basically gone by this point. Yeah, Three Stooges start with, well, on screen they started with Moe, Larry, and Shemp, technically, if we count the 1930 movie. But when they officially became, like, out of Healy's hands, it was Moe, Larry, and Curly. That's what a lot of people tend to forget. Yeah. Yeah. Their early shorts are pretty good, like Punch Drunks. Trying to think. What else was another good one? Three Little Pigskins. I like that one. Where they were playing football. They were trying to run from the football players. That was hilarious. Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think. And 1934 it happened. Was that the one with the Jesse Owens and Hitler thing? I'm trying to remember. I think it was the 1934. Or was it the 1935 Olympics? No. That wasn't either. That was in 36, I think. Okay, so 1935. Trying to think what happens. Three Stooges release I'm trying to think. Actually no, I don't really know what happens besides like Three Stooges releasing shorts in the 1935. Not gonna lie. I guess that's like the peak of the Great Depression, I guess. Or was it 1932? I don't know. Great Depression was still going on. Let's be honest here. It didn't really fully die off till World War II started. But yeah, 1935, not really much happened, to be honest. Then we skip to 1936, the Olympics, the Jesse Owens incident with Hitler, where Hitler refused to shake his hand, you know, which was pretty shitty. Yeah, Hitler saw Jesse Owens one time in the 1936 Olympics. I think he was like the fastest runner during that time, which was pretty impressive. But yeah, that happened. 1936. What else fucking happened? I don't really know what happens much in 1936 besides that incident and, you know, entertainment wise. Because, you know, I wasn't alive in the 1930s, you know. If I was alive in the 1930s, I'd be like really old right now, but, you know. 1937. Oh, a lot of people tend to forget this happened in the 1930s. The Hindenburg disaster. That happens in the 1937, yeah, where a lot of people die, unfortunately. And yeah, that's pretty shitty. It's pretty fucking shitty. Um, yeah, that happens. What else happens in 1937? I don't really know much what happens besides that. 1938, kind of a blur. I don't really know what happens there, to be honest. 1939, World War II starts. Hitler breaks the Treaty of Versailles, and also the Nazi-Soviet Pact gets formed, or something, or Warsaw Pact gets broken, or something like that. What else happened in 1939? I think Germany were like the first people to be involved in the war, and Poland as well. So yeah. To be honest though, I know America was involved in this war, but let's be honest here. It was mainly a European war. World War II. So was World War One. I'm not denying that, other people were involved in it, but that was just like the main places it affected. Europe mostly. The US also affected, and China as well, and Japan. And also Russia. But no, Russia's in Europe. What am I talking about? Yeah. I don't think the Middle East was affected with world wars. So if you lived in Morocco, you probably wouldn't know about it as much during that time. I'm not sure. But yeah. Basically the Western world was affected by this war in a way, in some sort of way. Yeah. 1940s, what else happened? I mean, not 1940s, 1930s. What else happens? People that die in this decade, I think. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the light bulb, although it could be debatable who invented it, let's be honest. Some people say, I don't know actually, if he stole out of Tesla, to be honest. I don't know. Let's see, who else? Yeah. Ted Healy gets, unfortunately, stabbed in a nightclub in 1937. I forgot to mention that. What happened in 1937? He was part of Three Stooges. Yeah, he dies in this decade. Who else? Trying to think. Those are the ones I mentioned. Yeah, I think so. Music, starting to become more jazz-like, I guess. Anybody I can know up the top of my head from this decade in terms of music? Was it Aretha Franklin and Bessie Smith part of this decade? I don't fucking know. Maybe it was the 40s. I don't know. Yeah. Fashion, same as 1920s, really. I'll be honest. Maybe slightly different. Cars, same as 1920s for the most part, especially in the early 30s. Yeah. Because, a decade doesn't really fully transition to like the third or fourth year of the decade, usually. Yeah. 1930s, well, the presidents, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt, I think after Herbert Hoover, and he was president for the rest of the decade. He was the only president ever to win over 2 terms, and then they banned that rule. But I can't mention it yet because I'm not up to that decade yet, unfortunately. But yeah, that happens in the future decades. Yeah. So 1930s overall, Great Depression, shitty economy, honestly. I think the economy was at its worst at this time. This time also had the lowest job rates out of any era, really. Because fucking Great Depression fucking ruined job rates across, a lot of the world, really. There was the Dust Bowl I forgot to mention. Books. Of Mice and Men came out in 1937. Pretty good fucking book, I'm not gonna lie. Shame what happens in the end, though. George kills Lenny because, the other guys would have probably killed Lenny, let's be honest here. Because, I think Lenny was accused of, he was accused of rape in the book. Because he strangled a woman, I think. But Lenny didn't realize it, so he went into running with his friend George. George closed his eyes and shot him. Yeah, that happens. What else? See the rise of J.R.R. Tolkien with the Hobbit series. Never read it, but yeah, J.R.R. Tolkien starts becoming popular in the 1930s. Well, more so late 30s, because that's when he published the first Hobbit book, or Lord of the Rings series, whatever. Same shit. Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think. You see the rise of the Three Stooges. Harold Lloyd, Charlie Chaplin, and Buster Keaton are still decent, but they're not as good as they were the decade before. I'm gonna be honest here. Yeah, their films start to suck a bit. Mostly Keaton and Lloyd though. Chaplin was still good though. Actually, I liked his what was his one that I remembered? This was from like 1932 or whatever, where he was like ice skating, and then there was like the perspective trick or whatever. That was pretty cool. Oh yeah, it was Modern Times, right? I think so. That was in 1936. That was a good movie. Yeah. Oh yeah, 1931. Did I say Frankenstein came out and Dracula and all that shit? Those are good movies. I think 1935, The Bride of Frankenstein came out. I watched that. It wasn't as good as the original. I'll admit the original was better. Yeah, what else? What else I said about fashion? I said music was alright, I guess. It was kind of similar to the 1920s. We were still in the jazz age, really. Radios are starting to become very popular in this decade. So yeah, they were just starting out really in the 1920s. And by 1930, I think a lot of people had them in their household. Yeah. But in like the early 20s, they probably didn't have that much radios. Let's be honest, because it was just really starting out in the popularity, really. It usually takes a decade for something to become fully popular in a way, But yeah, the 1930s, TV's still not popular yet. Although it's like the first full decade where TV shows some glimpse of becoming a little bit popular. And the TV screens used to look like this. It looked like a fucking peephole. I'm not gonna lie. What the fuck, It looked so fucking small. Yeah, Wizard of Oz. Fuck. I forgot. The first color movie was made in 1939. Yes, it wasn't in the 50s or 60s or 70s. It was in the 30s. Wizard of Oz with Judy Garland, who, she was a great actress, I'll be honest. It was released in 1939. Became the first color movie in history, I think. The first actual color movie, yeah. Pretty fucking cool. I heard the conditions during that time, they were treated like shit, basically. They had to work in, like, extremely hot weather, and they'd sometimes starve Judy Garland, which is pretty fucked up. Yeah, like, the conditions back then were terrible, I'll admit. The government was kind of corrupt in the 1930s, I'll admit. Yeah. The bright side is, well, after Herbert Hoover, we got a slightly better president, I'd say. I'll be honest. Herbert Hoover fucking sucks. He's dog shit. Yeah, he could be part to blame for the Great Depression. I can see that. You know? But yeah. 1930s overall, fucking shitty decade. Shitty economy. Fashion's still good. Movies are still solid. Music's still solid. Although, like I said, not really much memorable artists from this decade, to be honest. Yeah. Who the fuck was that one orchestra? Benny Goodman, I think. He was pretty popular during this time. Yeah, Benny Goodman. I think I listened to one of his orchestras. It was pretty good. I forgot the name to it, unfortunately. But yeah, Benny Goodman was pretty popular in the 1930s. Louis Armstrong didn't really become popular yet. I don't know. Maybe he did. No. He started in the 1920s, becoming popular. Fun fact, he technically started in the 1910s, but I'd associate him more after that decade, really. Because 1919, that's barely in the 1910s, let's be honest. But yeah, 1930s, I guess like the first full modern decade for education. Somewhat, I don't know. Because, like I said, what happened in the last video, you know, that I did with the decade review. But yeah, 1930s. Out of 10, I'm going to be giving it a 2.6 out of 10. It fucking sucks, I'll be honest. It's dog shit. It's one of the worst decades ever. World War II started in this decade, yeah, which was shit. Yeah, that could be another reason why I hate this decade in a way. Yeah. Yeah, this decade fucking sucks. Had the worst economy, probably in history. Economy was shit during this time. A lot of people were poor during this time. So yeah, not much optimism in this decade. It's fucking shit. It fucking sucks. Oh my god. It's just terrible. Yeah, it's mediocre decade. Well, not even mediocre, it's trash. It's a trash decade. It's like the 1910s. It sucks. Just simply, it sucks. It sucks so hard. From the fucking Great Depression, to the start of World War II, to high poverty rates, shitty economy, etc. This decade is shit. But yeah, that's my review of the 1930s. Let me know your opinions. Anyways, peace.